Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. Today I'm going to answer some common questions we get in the gym, or I've gotten over the years through the gym, inside and outside. Probably going to run this weekly because there's quite a bit of questions, which means there's quite a bit of content. So this is the most common ones I found, just going back through comments and emails and general notes I've taken over the years. So the most common question I've generally found is people asking what's the best way to lose fat. That's a simple really concept. The best way to lose fat is to be in a caloric deficit while maintaining a moderate to high protein diet. So basically make sure you eat enough protein through meat, fish, protein powder or soy or whatever your source of protein is. 1.6 grams per pound body weight is, or 1.6 grams per kg body weight is the recommended amount. And with regards into fat loss, if you probably combat fat loss with some resistance training, so you also keep on a bit of muscle mass, that'll probably be the best way to lose fat. In general, the best way to lose fat is diet, being in a caloric deficit from diet. You can also have from exercise, but diet is generally the easiest and best way to do it. Next one is, if I lift weights, will I get bulky? Will I get bigger? Etc. etc. Maybe, probably not. Generally people, the biggest factor with getting bigger from weightlifting is two things. The bigger that people imagine is Arnold Schwarzenegger or pro bodybuilders or people who are quite muscled. Most people who are that way are quite muscled to begin with, and weight training just enhances that even more. The reality is most people will find it very hard to build more than kind of 14 pounds of muscle in their lifetime once they're an adult, because just they haven't got the genetics for it. What I think people are afraid of getting big and bulky is, if you're afraid of becoming the pro bodybuilder, it's probably not going to happen due to the fact that you need great genetics and you need other things like drugs, which are illegal, to get that big. But the reality of getting bigger for most people is just a case of overeating. A big aspect of weightlifting and training in a gym or doing any form of exercise is people forget that it increases your appetite, because you're doing more activity, you're burning off more calories, and as a result you're going to increase your appetite from that. And a lot of people don't realize that, so when they join a gym or take up running or take up cycling or whatever activity it is, they eat more food because they're hungry, and then they gain weight and they blame the extra heft on the exercise, which kind of is true, but it's more that they haven't taken into consideration their appetite increase. And that's generally what happens when people gain weight, is that increase in appetite. The hope is that lifting weights will build muscle though. I mean, that is the hope. Everyone wants that. Everyone wants that toned look or that bit of muscle mass, which helps keep you young and prevent disease. So that is the hope. But the idea of becoming a pro bodybuilder and like a mass monster, the Hulk or something like that, it's unlikely. It's really unlikely for 99.9% of people. How do I get a flat stomach is another one, or how do I get rid of this and people grab their gut? Diet is the big one, okay? A lot of people will, do ab exercises till the cows come home, but that's body fat on your frame, and the only way to get rid of that, as when I question one, is through diet and a calorie deficit. And unfortunately, you can't strip away fat in areas faster than others. It comes off, some people it comes off their abs very quickly, some people it comes off their legs very quickly, and vice versa, it comes off their stomach very slowly and their legs very slowly, or other body parts. But the main way to get a flat stomach is through exercise or through diet. So you're in a calorie deficit, so you lose off body fat. The leaner you get, then the more you'll see definition in your stomach. So for women who want to see a defined stomach, generally between around 18 to 20% body fat, it should be well defined stomach. You should see like little creases in your abs. For men, it's about 12% and below to start seeing a six-pack, 10% realistically if you want to see a six-pack. Now, once you get that low, it does help having muscle mass there so that you actually see it. So that's when you would add in your core work that you should be doing anyway to strengthen your back. But in general, you want diet to actually make sure you have as minimum fat as possible on your stomach, and then a bit of core work to actually hypertrophy the muscles, so you actually have tone in your stomach as well. That's the next one is, should I do cardio first or weight training first? This generally depends on your goals and how you treat it. If you're doing cardio for weight loss or something like that, then maybe you should do it first. Realistically, you should probably weight train first, because The weight training will interfere less with the cardio, so you'll still be able to maintain quite a good bit of cardiovascular ability if you weight train. Unlike the other way around, if you do a lot of cardio first, you'll actually be quite weaker for the weight training. So you should probably do weight training first, just because you'll be able to lift more weight and do the exercise a bit better, so you'll get better results in the cardio after. However, saying that, if cardiovascular training is your main thing you're trying to train, you should probably do the cardiovascular training first and then do your weight training as accessory work. You should pick the one that's more priority. For most people in a gym, that's weight training, and they do the cardio outside the gym or after the fact. But depending on your goals, you probably should do weight training first though. Do I need to take dietary supplements? Probably not. Dietary supplements aren't well regulated. Most people take them kind of carelessly. I was one of these people. If you are taking dietary supplements, I highly recommend that you get your bloods done first, so you can see if you're deficient in any minerals, so that maybe the vitamins and minerals you're taking will help. It's not just a placebo. So if you get your blood test done, let's say today, 3 months, and take a supplement for, let's say, 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, get blood test done again. If there's a marked improvement in your, how you feel, and you can see it empirically in the blood results, then it's working, and keep it up. But understand where you're starting from. So don't just take like zinc without any, basis for, do I need it? You should know if you need it or not. If you have a zinc deficiency, you can get that tested. It's quite easy. A lot of people have iron deficiencies or B12 deficiencies, things like that, and they can get them tested, and doctors generally prescribe stuff for that. Now, if there are simple things you could do. Look, if you don't take fish oil, or if you don't eat oily fish, you might need to take an omega-3 tablet. That might help. If you don't go out in the sun a lot, you might need vitamin D3, or you can't get access, and you might need a small amount of vitamin D3 just for that. But for most other supplements, I would highly advise you just get tested to make sure your levels are correct before you take any of them. Most of them you probably don't need, but there are some that fill holes in people's diets based off sicknesses or illnesses, and a doctor or a dietitian will probably be able to help you with that. What is my target heart rate is the next kind of question people come up for fat loss. This depends a lot on what you're training. So if you're doing flat out high intensity training, your heart rate should be fairly high. It should be near, not at maximum, but near maximal, because that's high intensity training. If you're doing aerobic training, your heart rate should be kind of elevated in around the 120, 140 mark. But then if you're not starting with a relatively good level of fitness, then your heart rate might be high just from regular exercise. So your target heart rate depends on what you're actually doing, so what kind of training you're doing. So just be mindful of that. Next question, and this comes up because the gym we're currently in does not have machine weights. It only has what we call free weights. And what's the difference between them, or what's the benefits between them? Free weights are things like dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, so they move. They're not like fixed in a fixed position. And then machines obviously are fixed in a position that do one thing. Machines are very good for injury recovery. They're very good for isolating a muscle. So if you are a bodybuilder or interested in isolating specific muscles for hypertrophy, for muscle growth, they're very good for that. They're also quite useful as well because they can be quite safe for certain movements. So they really do make isolation work or going to failure with exercises a lot easier. Free weights then, they offer more versatility, they work more stabilizers in your body, and they're just more versatile in general. If you have access to both, that is a perfect world, and it'd be great where you can use both free weights and machine weights. Generally, for what most people want, free weights are probably the way to go, as they're more versatile and they're easier, and they move you through full range of motion, which is what most people need to be healthy. If you're going down the hypertrophy route and the bodybuilding route, machines probably will help you progress to that next level a lot. But for most people, machines or free weights are probably the way to go, and probably safer long run for them as well. Another question is, why are my muscles sore after workout, or how long are my muscles sore after workout? So what happens is, when you train for the first time, you experience a thing called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. This is basically muscle damage. So if you do anything new at all, if you've never gone hiking before, never gone for a long run before, or you've never gone for a long cycle before, you're probably going to experience DOMS. It's because your body is not used to it, and you cause a bit of stress to your tendons, your ligaments, and your muscles. And it's this stress and your body recovering from it which causes DOMS. Now, normally it's worse 48 hours after the fact. So if you train at 6 o'clock on a Monday evening, it's probably going to get worse as Tuesday goes on and worse Wednesday morning. And then it'll free up and then you repeat the cycle, get DOMS again and forever. The biggest problem with DOMS is people think that's forever, that you're going to be sore every single day you train. And the reality is after about 2 or 3 weeks, it goes away unless you take a massive break and come back. It is normal, it is natural. Some people suffer with DOMS brutally and some people suffer very minimally. I myself suffer with DOMS quite bad in my legs, so if I ever do a hard leg session I can barely walk. But look, everyone's different. It's not a big deal. It's also not an indicator of a good workout or a great workout. It's just an indicator that you worked out. So don't worry about DOMS. It's just the cause effect of you putting your body under stress it's not used to. Just 2 more. Another one is how do I get rid of, this kind of coincides with the gut area, or how to get rid of this area, flabby arms. Again, it's calorie deficit. There are exercises you can do that would build up the muscle in your tricep and your bicep, so your arms. The tricep is the back of your arm, the bicep is the front of your arm. There are exercises you can do that build up the muscle, but the way to think about muscle and fat is imagine steak is your muscle. Imagine you're cooking fillet steak, that's the muscle. And you put a pound of butter on top of that fillet steak, that's fat. For you to see the steak, you have to melt away that butter. That's what toning up your arms or building muscle is. You're trying to basically get rid of fat. And when people say, how do I get rid of that fat? It's basically calorie deficit. You got to go into calorie deficit. Your body oxidizes the fat around that muscle, and the more fat it oxidizes or burns off, the more muscle you can see. So that's how you do it, calorie deficit. And how often should I work out, lift weights? This is a very open-ended question, and the reality is I would say how often can you lift weights, how much time have you got to lift weights, and then we work from there. You should not try and fit your life into a perfect program. You should get a program suited towards your life. So if you can train 3 days a week for an hour consistently, that's what you should do. If you can train if you can train a half an hour 2 days, 2 days a week, and an hour 2 days a week, that's what you try to do. If you can do it consistently, that's what matters. For most people, it's recommended for general health and fitness and overall ability, you try and train 3 to 4 days a week at a moderate intensity. And then move outside the gym doing other activities like walking and things like that. But that's generally what's recommended for most people. Now, if you want to progress that further and you want to, go into different aspects of fitness or sport, you might need to train more, you might need to practice more. But for most people to maintain general health and fitness, 3 to 4 days a week is more than enough. And that's quite doable. And it's not 3 to 4 days a week of like 6 hours in the gym. It's 3 to 4 days a week of 45 minutes, an hour and a half tops in the gym if you are really pushing it. All right, so that's just some quick common questions, guys. I'll hopefully shoot more of these, maybe do once a week or twice a week, depending on how many questions I have. If you have your own questions, of course, you can ask in the comments below. And as always, I appreciate you watching, liking, and sharing these things. So I hope you have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.